Yeah, I know our white privilege pretty much guarantees every white child born in America is going to become the CEO of Microsoft, and he's going to have $1 billion by the time he's age 30, guaranteed. But there is one thing that our white privilege doesn't really guarantee us. If at some point in our lives we feel we're not being treated fairly or this whole America thing isn't really working out for us, I don't think a lot of white people feel like they can go back to Italy or Germany or England or Scotland or the Netherlands or wherever. No, we're kind of stuck here. So we're kind of stuck making the best of what is undoubtedly a very, very bad situation. Now, the fellas and lovely ladies, on the other hand, they've got some options. Just like this.
A wave of African Americans are choosing to move to the African continent. But why? And what happens when they get there?
Returning to the land of their forefathers in search of inner peace.
It has its ups and downs, of course, but I love being near the water. I love the peace.
It's taken time for Cicely Williams to adapt to her new life in Ghana. But she was pushed to make the move, saying she no longer felt at home back in the United States.
Right at that time where we had a lot of killings of black males and black females by the police, Trump was just getting into office. So at that time, my family and I decided that we were ready to come back.
The Cape Coast Castle was once one of the main departure points for slaves that were being sent to America. Tens of thousands of Africans left the continent from this very hall.
Right. So if you survived your stay here, this was going to be your last point of call. Door of no return.
It's become somewhat of a pilgrimage site as more and more Americans journey here to learn about their history.
You know why I am African, or how you became African. She knows now that this is real.
Ghana has labelled 2019 the year of return. The government aims to attract more of the African diaspora, just like Candice and Stephen Williams, who left Baltimore 2 years ago. A radical change. They've even adopted new names.
Welcome back home.
Thank you.
What's your local name?
My local name is Kojo.
I'm Kofi.
The market organizer is thrilled to see that Americans are moving here.
They've been out of the continent for a very long time. They've acquired a lot of knowledge. Africans still need a lot of knowledge to develop it. Yeah, we've seen a lot, so we are happy. And I, for one, am happy.
But despite his warm welcome, integrating into Ghanaian society hasn't been as straightforward as they'd expected.
You know, because of our complexion or our accent, some people refer to us as white. You know, they don't know what a black American is.
And despite being swamped in red tape and the trouble of finding a job, the former instructor has no regrets.
You can see my hair was a lot shorter then.
Their children and grandchildren have all stayed behind.
There's no better place to be for me than on the land of my origin.
Why?
Because I am an African woman.
They've even done a DNA test to find out more about their African ancestry.
I believe this one is yours.
The couple are planning on starting an organisation to help other African Americans who want to make the move to Ghana. Nathania took the leap over 20 years ago, when he moved here from New York.
This place, we started it in around 1995 or thereabout, and there was nothing but coconut trees and high grass here.
He opened this hotel near the Cape Coast Castle. He's seen generations of African Americans settle here and says misconceptions about the continent are almost a thing of the past.
African Americans are now opening up to the reality that Africa is not a land filled with jungles and people living in tree houses. And, people are seeing that there's real development and growth and opportunity going on in Africa.
Some are looking to reconnect with their past, while others seek new opportunities. Several thousands of African Americans have already made the move, and the trend is showing no sign of slowing down.
You know, if you live in Southern California for any period of time, especially close to the border, as I did for 35 years, I reported on Mexico for several publications over the years, including San Diego Business Journal. Anyway, it seems like every 5 or 10 years, the federal government would come through like this Baja California area below California, below the border, and they would just they would just nationalize all the beachfront property. They'd revoke all these complicated real estate agreements that Americans use to buy property in Mexico near the water. And it was just one big nightmare of property rights and law and the rule of law. And it was strictly who you knew, who you paid off, all that kind of stuff.
Please, sir, I want some more.
I've seen dozens of these stories on the fellas and their lovely ladies going back to their homeland. I haven't seen one story talking about, well, what about the rule of law? What about your property? What about the generalissimo running the outfit? How's that working out? Is it working out long term? And I wonder who's going to be the first one to do the story when they do the obligatory Ghana story, when you go through that hallway where all the slaves, the slaves pass through before their journey to the New World. By the way, most of the slaves went to South America. Bam! Who's going to be the first one to say, yeah, the only reason black people passed through the portal is because one group of black people was selling the slaves to the slave masters, whoever they were. So I don't know who those people were, but chances are we just saw some of their descendants on this video. Yeah, the people who were capturing the slaves and selling them, who for some reason get a free ride, mostly because reminding people that black people were intimately involved in the slave trade, both in South America, both in America, and in bringing white slaves to Africa. Well, reminding people of that, yeah, that will make the black kids angry.